UN inspectors in Iraq detained again by Saddam's army. A Western hostage held more than 2 years in Lebanon is free. And Eye on America, hospital care without the hospital. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Saddam Hussein stepped up his challenge to President Bush and the United Nations today. Iraqi troops in Baghdad are holding a UN inspection team, demanding they give up documents and film on Saddam's nuclear weapons program. Tonight, President Bush sent important military hardware back to the Gulf. David Martin at the Pentagon has the latest on that. David?
Dan, sometime tonight or early tomorrow morning, the U.S. Army will start moving 2 battalions of Patriot air defense missiles from Germany into Saudi Arabia aboard transport planes. That amounts to about 100 missiles and 1,300 men, so it's going to take a couple of days before all that equipment is in place, up and operating. And once it is, that does not necessarily mean that the U.S. will automatically then take some sort of military action against Iraq. What it does mean is that the U.S. will have met a precondition, which the Saudis set before an operation could be launched from their territory against Iraq. But for the moment, about 60 warplanes remain on alert here in the U.S. There is some discussion in this building about increasing the number of warplanes to a larger number for a larger operation, but for the moment, no orders to move have gone out to any other units besides those 2 Patriot battalions. Dan?
David, what's the best analysis you get there on why Saddam is being so obstinate about this when he knows what happened, full well what happened the last time?
Well, Dan, Saddam knows that these UN inspectors have the goods on his nuclear weapons program. What has happened is that the CIA recently picked up another Iraqi defector who is providing them with up-to-the-minute details, which allows these inspectors to demand to see those things Saddam most wants to hide. Saddam obviously knows about this defector, and he knows he can no longer hide this equipment. His only hope to save his nuclear program is to interfere with these inspections. But on the other hand, the U.S. now realizes, as a result of this defector, the full extent of the Iraqi nuclear program, and realizes that Saddam was much closer to getting a bomb than they had previously thought. And that is undoubtedly part of President Bush's reason for being so adamant about seeing that this UN resolution permitting UN inspectors to go wherever they want is enforced.
David Martin, covering for us live at the Pentagon. Thanks. President Bush and the UN Security Council both had new warnings for Saddam Hussein today. Bill Plant has the latest from the United Nations.
UN officials.
President Bush issued a threat, but stopped short of setting a deadline for action as the UN Security Council demanded the release of its inspection team.
I want to be sure we have all the facts, but I thought I made quite clear yesterday that this is unacceptable behavior, and I would not want to see Saddam Hussein miscalculate yet again.
Iraq's ambassador to the UN claimed that today's incident was caused when team members tried to look at personnel records.
We will not allow any team, whether it's the UN team or any other team, to take these personal records because they are not covered by any resolution.
A member of the team who spoke by telephone with CBS News says the team acted within its authority.
We believe strongly that and clearly that the resolution authorizes us to photograph information relevant to their nuclear program. We've done that, and we cannot turn over the film.
U.S. officials suspect the real reason Iraq is trying to keep the documents out of the hands of the inspection team is that they list the Western companies which were supplying Baghdad's nuclear program. The president of the Security Council complained that Iraq's constant setting of new conditions was making a resolution difficult.
It is the accumulation of those things which makes the situation deteriorating very rapidly.
Iraq's UN ambassador said tonight that he had given the Secretary General and the Security Council the written assurances that they demanded that the inspection teams would be permitted to operate. But today's standoff illustrates just how little the UN can actually do about Iraq's defiance. So some at the UN are beginning to suggest and signal that it may be time for the U.S. to break the impasse by sending in helicopters with armed escorts. Dan?
Thanks, Bill. Pro-Iranian kidnappers in Lebanon released a British hostage today. Tonight he is in Syria, where CBS News correspondent Bert Quint has our report.
Looking all of his 77 years after 2 years and 4 months in captivity, British World War II hero Jackie Mann was freed tonight. Brought by car from Beirut to Damascus, Mann said he had trouble speaking now because of constant scolding by his captors.
Do that, don't do that. Don't speak, be quiet, be quiet.
Mann said even today he kept asking himself the same question.
And I wonder how much longer, how much longer, how much longer.
The former RAF pilot and his wife were among the last Britons in West Beirut when he was seized. Because of his age and his frail condition, his captors, the Revolutionary Justice Organization, offered him early in the current round of swaps. But apparently, squabbles within the organization prevented his being freed last week. His wife, Sunny, waiting for him in nearby Cyprus, was dismayed then, but got a new lease on life today.
God, it's absolutely unbelievable.
She was flown by the RAF to join him tonight. Now, after he is checked by British doctors, they go to England. Dramatic and nightmarish as his story is, Mann is a small bargaining chip in the overall hostage negotiations, with 5 Americans among those still in captivity. There's likely to be a lot of tough dealing before the big chips, Terry Anderson and Terry Waite, are played. Bert Quint, CBS News, Damascus.
Israel is pressing ahead with its policy of establishing more Israeli settlements in occupied Arab territory, an issue that threatens to derail President Bush's plan for a Middle East peace conference. Correspondent Bob Simon in Israel has the latest on that.
Prime Minister Shamir made Israel's position on settlements very clear today, as clear as the view of the West Bank hills, as clear as President Bush's refusal to grant Israel loan guarantees before January. Shamir said it as he dedicated the site of a new Jewish town, one that nudges right up against what was the border of Israel before the '67 war. Shamir pledged that Jews would settle Israel's territories to the very edge of the horizon, no matter what Washington might think or demand.
The demand to freeze the settlements is unacceptable by us.
You could find the real point of the ceremony just 100 yards away. An old fence marking the border between Israel and the West Bank, the so-called Green Line. The settlement is being built right on the border to reinforce the main platform of the Shamir government. There is no Green Line anymore, no border, just a rusty old fence in a field in Israel. Meanwhile, on a nearby West Bank hilltop where new Jewish homes were being built, Israeli liberals demonstrated their agreement with Washington's position that settlements are an obstacle to peace. But as they protested, cement was being poured, facts were being created, the settlement drive, unprecedented in its proportions, marched on.
Months ago, there was only bulldozers here. 2 months ago, there was only roads. And in 2 months, there will be people here.
But Shamir is strong enough to ignore the Israeli left. He cannot ignore Washington. Despite all the bravado, there's deepening anxiety here, not about the Syrians or the Palestinians, but about President Bush, who the Israelis think is going to play it very tough with them at a peace conference and in Congress. Bob Simon, CBS News, on the West Bank.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. Are you too old to play the game? Who makes the call? And American police facing new dangers on the road.
It's kind of throbbing, and sometimes my fingers get stiff as well.
Today, it isn't aspirin, it's Advil for minor arthritis pain.
Advil just really helps with the pain.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Look what's popping up, that's free. Special K waffles from Eggo. Once you see how good fat-free can be, whoa, no, you never let go.
No way. It's all mine.
Special K waffles from Eggo.
Eggo Special K waffles. Crisp, delicious, yet every bite fat-free, cholesterol-free, and just 80 calories per waffle. See how good fat-free can be.
Oh, no, you never let go. Nah. Special K waffles from Eggo.
Your nails are so beautiful. I'm ashamed of mine.
You should use Sally Hansen products. They make your nails strong and beautiful, and shopping will be a lot easier.
What?
Well, when you can take your hands out of your pockets. Oh.
The fear of losing a job is a growing worry for many Americans, especially older workers. Congress held hearings today about how to draw the line between mandatory retirement and age discrimination. Chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer has our report.
A personal foul on number 99 of the defense after he tackled the quarterback. He's giving them business down there.
Now NFL referee Ben Dreiss says his league bosses are giving him the business, forcing him to step down because they think he's too old. He has nothing on airline captain David Cronin, who managed to turn this wreck around and make a safe landing in Hawaii after the side blew off at 20,000 feet over the Pacific, a feat he summed up in the understatement of the year.
And I feel we did a good job.
But not good enough to keep it. A month later, he reached mandatory retirement age and had to quit. Today, a congressional panel told the men their stories are all too familiar, that too often employers are prejudiced against older workers.
Such attitudes result in unfair discrimination, unfair because plenty of individuals have the rigor and the mental faculties necessary to carry on their jobs.
Ref Dreiss said his bosses first concluded he was too old, then looked for evidence to support their belief.
They put me in a fishbowl, and they watched every little move I made.
To pilot Cronin, airlines should consider years in the cockpit a plus, not a minus.
If you were wrongfully accused of a murder, who would you rather choose to defend you? A recent graduate of the law school or F. Lee Bailey?
Just because the committee was sympathetic today does not mean that Congress is on the verge of overhauling the mandatory retirement laws. But all this does reflect the growing feeling here that as Americans become healthier and live longer lives, we will have to re-examine some basic, long-held assumptions, not the least of them the exceedingly complex question, when is a person too old to work? Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol.
Is a new and popular police patrol car unsafe at high speed? If so, is the problem with the car or the driver? These are open questions. Frank Courier reports on questions about the Chevrolet Caprice on the beat in the fast lane.
In Beech Grove, Indiana last May, a police lieutenant died instantly when his patrol car crashed during a high-speed chase. He was driving America's newest #1 selling cop car, the '91 Chevrolet Caprice, which some worry is unsafe.
We're concerned about unexplained loss of control by police officers when they are attempting to do their job.
Stopping the Caprice at high speed is the focus of investigations by police in several states and General Motors. With 30,000 now driven by 60% of the nation's police departments, investigators want to know what, if any, problems exist with these low-slung, swooping RoboCop-style cruisers. The 350-horse V8 muscle cars are equipped for the first time with anti-lock brakes, unfamiliar to many patrolmen.
In a nationwide survey, mechanical troubles, including bad brakes, were reported by 2/3 of 100 police agencies responding. But Chevrolet says it's not the brakes, it's the drivers.
We've investigated thoroughly, and at this point in time, we've not found any problem with the Caprice that's contributed to an accident.
When pressure is applied to the brake pedal.
After complaints, Chevrolet last week sent this training video to 8,000 police agencies, demonstrating how the Caprice anti-lock brakes perform at 100 miles an hour.
I wish it had been done in the very beginning, and perhaps we would not have lost one police officer in Beech Grove and had several others very seriously injured.
Despite several accidents this year where officers were injured in the new Caprice, the car gets more raves than ridicule from those who fix them and drive them.
We find it very practical for our use and very safe vehicle.
I'll have to find out when the winter comes. I think that's going to be the real test.
With GM probing every police car crash involving a new Caprice, Indiana still wants the National Highway Safety Administration to find out if the cars or the cops who drive them are to blame. Frank Courier, CBS News, Chicago.
Stick right here with us now for more CBS News, including a small world on Earth that could wind up in space.
This is when I love Grape Nut cereal. I've been out here all morning, and I'm still going. Does your cereal do this? Try breakfast with Grape Nuts for a week. I did, and I feel great. Grape Nuts is this natural energy source, and it's fat-free. It tastes so good, too. It's hearty. It's got what you need to help keep you going. If you want to feel this good every morning, try Grape Nuts for a week yourself.
Breakfast with Post Grape Nuts helps keep you going strong all morning long.
Like so many people, if you're under a physician's care for high blood pressure, ulcers, or asthma,
then your choice of a non-prescription pain reliever is especially important. For millions of people like you, the one doctors recommend most is Tylenol. So if you have high blood pressure, ulcers, or asthma, talk to your doctor about the pain reliever you should use. Tylenol. It's the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Over 20% of the population can have trouble eating this, or even this, because we can't easily digest dairy foods. What we can't have, we always want, which is why there's Lactaid. Only Lactaid comes in milk and in caplets to help us digest any dairy foods. And it's natural. So now there's only one thing left to do.
Only Lactaid gives you so many ways to enjoy dairy foods.
A missing wife. They say it's murder, but there's no body. What clues will solve the case? 48 Hours knows. Find out Wednesday.
The Soviet republics of Armenia and Azerbaijan agreed to a ceasefire today. The deal was mediated by Boris Yeltsin. The Russian President Yeltsin alarmed the world last week when he apparently took ill for 2 days. Now his spokesman says Yeltsin is taking more time off to rest. No word on what the illness is, bad back suspected, no word how long Yeltsin will be away. 8 people from around the world are going away for a long time. This Thursday they'll step into a world of their own called Biosphere 2. Is it a visionary dream of humankind's future, or is it a cult bunkum? Jerry Bowen has our visit to a small planet.
In the desert north of Tucson, Arizona, sits the world's largest terrarium, Biosphere 2, 3 acres of flora, fauna, and creatures under glass, designed as a sequel of sorts to Earth, the original biological sphere. It's a massive test tube with a variety of tropical ecosystems, a rainforest, a mangrove swamp actually scooped up from the Florida Everglades, a 25-foot deep ocean covering what's described as the largest living coral reef in captivity. And about to be sealed in here for the next 2 years are 8 very eager volunteers.
To me, it's almost like getting in a spaceship or on a boat and leaving dock and setting sail for 2 years.
Meet the Biosphereans, Star Trek lookalikes on a mission. 4 men and 4 women, scientists, a machinist, a doctor, developing a diet to extend life expectancy to age 120. They will exist on the plants and farm animals they grow and try to unravel a number of nature's secrets, some basic stuff.
Where does all the garbage go? And this is a question everybody on planet Earth is asking. Where does all the garbage go? When we find out where it goes, what can we do about it?
Among the many questions raised by this glass and metal enclosed world, aside from the basic question of what can and will be learned here, is whether the answers, the outcome, will be worth the cost. $150 million and climbing. A reclusive Texas billionaire has privately financed the enterprise, which has been touted as a prototype for a colony in space. But is it science or weird science or something else altogether?
It's very cultish, to fancy uniforms and protocols. Right now, I think we're all in a mode of you have to prove it to us.
Space Visors is not a cult, we're a business.
And a growing tourist attraction, with Biospherians packing for the long haul.
My dentist told me 6 toothbrushes. And this is the nitty-gritty of living for 2 years in a place where you can't fabricate your own toothbrush.
My dentist said 24.
And the countdown is on, like a moon mission, only more convenient. Getting to the Biosphere's never been the problem. Staying there's the trick. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Oracle, Arizona.
Like to try Total?
Mom says grape nuts.
Hope you're hungry. It takes 4 bowls of grape nuts to get the vitamins in 1 bowl of Total. Total has 100% of a day's supply of 12 vitamins and minerals.
You tell her.
Total, 1 bowl, 100%.
Recently, DuPont announced that its energy unit Conoco would pioneer the use of new double-hulled oil tankers in order to safeguard the environment. The response has been overwhelmingly positive. DuPont, better things for better living.
Ask Angela Lansbury about aspirin-free Bufferin AF Nighttime.
Angela, there's something new here. Bufferin AF Nighttime?
Yes, it's from the makers of Bufferin.
for when you feel achy at night and you're having trouble getting to sleep.
It's for both problems?
Uh-huh. Bufferin AF Nighttime should really help. You see, it's a maximum strength aspirin-free pain reliever plus a gentle non-prescription ingredient to help you get to sleep.
New Bufferin AF Nighttime helps put pain and you to sleep.
To help relieve her heartburn, her antacid uses aluminum and magnesium, but his is Tums, and Tums has calcium.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Tums.
I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Harry Smith. 3 months till Christmas. Is your bank account ready?
A holiday money plan tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
It's breakfast for your head.
New evidence tonight that health care costs are out of control. A congressional report says the price of prescription drugs in this country is rising 3 times as fast as the general inflation rate. Also soaring, drug company profits. The report says that last year, the top 10 U.S. pharmaceutical manufacturers were more than 3 times as profitable as the average Fortune 500 industry. In tonight's Eye on America, we're going to show you how some people are beating the high cost of a hospital stay. CBS News correspondent Dr. Bob Arnott continues our special week-long look at health care in America, a matter of life and death.
America's high-tech hospital. It's always been the showpiece of modern medical science, the place to get the best possible care for a serious illness. But a hospital stay can also be intimidating, impersonal, inconvenient, and most of all, expensive. Now, a popular new trend away from the hospital is revolutionizing healthcare. Cheaper, sophisticated treatment in the comfort of home sweet home. For 5 hours every other day, 54-year-old Harriet Ederheimer connects herself to a kidney dialysis machine, set up in a sitting area just 10 feet from her own bed. For Harriet, this elaborate life-saving treatment, which cleanses and purifies her blood, has become routine, just another task in a very busy day. Each morning before dialysis, Harriet attends this water aerobics class. It invigorates her and strengthens her weary muscles. Harriet Ederheimer thrives on her independence.
Feel that I'm in control of my body, and I understand the machine, and it just makes me feel good that I could do it myself.
At the hospital dialysis center, the contrast is striking. It's overflowing with patients, all of whom must follow a rigid treatment schedule. Waiting for an open machine can take hours. It's often a full-day ordeal. 65-year-old Daisy Hoover used to be confined to a hospital bed for weeks at a time for treatment of a chronic digestive disorder. An otherwise healthy woman, she must get her nutrition intravenously. With help from a nurse who trained her and monitors her once a week, Daisy is now able to care for herself in her own bedroom and on her own schedule.
I was really feeling very low, very depressed about the whole thing. But I have a lot of living to do, and I decided, well, I'd better grab a hold of this thing. And I managed to do it, and I think I've mastered it, and I feel really good about it.
The savings in dollars is astronomical. On average, it costs $23,670 a month per person for intravenous tube feeding in a hospital. At home, the total bill is just $9,000 a month.
The availability of sophisticated technology at home will only increase. Hospitals will more and more, I believe, become the site for the most acute care, for the most unstable kinds of patients.
25-year-old Otilia Smith is living life on her terms, thanks to an extraordinary piece of equipment that looks like a Walkman. Otilia is gravely ill. She has advanced colon cancer. Until 3 months ago, she rarely got out of her hospital bed because the pain was so severe. Now she carries a computerized pump that dispenses morphine 24 hours a day. In the hospital, the cost of her care would be $10,500 a month. At home, it's $3,500 per month, about 2/3 less.
When I'm in the hospital, being there
I feel sick. I feel even sick, the way I really am. You cannot give up. You have to keep fighting. I'm 25 years old, and I would like people out there that are young to see that you can have a normal life, even though they've told you you have cancer.
Bob, how receptive has the insurance industry been to home care?
Well, Dan, they've been very receptive. That is, they're finding it's good business. They can spend a lot less money delivering hospitalized care in the home, and they're willing to cover many of the bills. It's pretty popular, too. 88% of employers are willing to pay for the home health care option. The only sticking point has been the government. Medicare and Medicaid are just now beginning to pay for high-tech home health care.
Dr. Bob Arnott, thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Our special series on health care continues tomorrow on the CBS Evening News. We'll hear from Americans who say they just can't afford to get sick. Now, recapping tonight's top story, a story broken by our Pentagon's correspondent David Martin. President Bush is sending Patriot missiles back to the Gulf as a new confrontation with Saddam Hussein is building. Iraqi troops in Baghdad are still detaining a UN inspection team that apparently holds vital and conclusive information on Saddam's nuclear weapons program. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. See you tomorrow. Good night.
This awful itch. Won't anything stop it fast?
Lanacaine will. Lanacaine shuts off the itch like a switch, fast. Only Lanacaine cream works on contact with the itch nerves that cause every itch. Benadryl can't. Cordaid can't. Hydrocortisones can't. But Lanacaine will. So for the fastest relief of every itch, get Lanacaine.
Lanacaine does shut off the itch.
Like a switch, fast.
You're about to see the product of a relentless commitment to quality. It started in the 80s and continues to build. Last April, Ford Motor Company unveiled the all-new 92 Mercury Grand Marquis and Ford Crown Victoria. And the innovation continues. In fact, 92 is our biggest new model announcement in years. September 26th at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer. Amazing things happen when you make quality job one.
You know the sweater I started for Robert?
Yeah.
And then I was going to finish it for Mike?
Mark.
Yeah. Well, lucky I used color match yarn because now I can finish the sleeves for Peter.
Maybe you should take it one sleeve at a time. I can't wait to use this Bissell Power Steamer.
Yeah, our carpet will look like new.
And our couch. Remember you bought it because you said the color matched my eyes.
It was also on sale.
I love coming here to shop.
And shop. And shop. And shop.
Listen, those new dog biscuits you've been getting instead of Milk-Bone, why? Milk-Bone has nearly half the fat of those Purina biscuits. Half the fat. Please, give me back my Milk-Bone.
I need a laxative that can work dependably.
Doxadan can.
But can it be gentle?
Doxadan can. Doxadan works dependably overnight with a special ingredient for gentle relief.
Dependable? Yes.
Gentle? Yes.
Doxadan can.
Eye on America's health care. What kind of insurance coverage do you have? If an emergency struck, could you afford it? Could you pay for care without dipping into your savings? For millions of Americans, health care has become a matter of life or death. Special reports on health care and its cost to you all this week on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.
Good evening, I'm Vicki Yates.
And I'm Chris Clark. Coming up next on News Channel 5's 6 o'clock report.
American Airlines may be pulling the plug on some of its Nashville flights. I'm Scott Couch at International Airport. I'll tell you why, coming up in a live report.
And we'll find out why some new growing pains in county schools are adding to an old problem.
And tonight's Health Beat shows how a special daycare is filling the needs of some special kids.
We'll have those stories and a homecoming for a recently released Tennessee hostage.
News Channel 5 6 o'clock report is next. Join us.